Dental Nachos crew. Happy lunchtime. Hope you guys are having nachos. Well, I got mine up there, but it's beach body season, guys, so I can't have nachos every day, just every other day. So that's a tough one for me. So I'm excited to be talking with James Kachmer, Tyler DeStefano from Doctors Disability Specialist. We're going to talk about disability insurance and some other cool stuff as well. So thanks for being on with me, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Sure. I like, Nacho ordinary stories about people. My recent podcast about how I got to be Dr. Nacho and what I've done for years is my message is bring your normal person self first to things and then your weird dentisting self second. So I like, you guys gave me some normal people stuff. So I'm very intrigued. Jim, you used to be a professional nacho maker. Tell us about that.
I did. I worked at a Mexican restaurant here in Maine during college. I consider myself a professional cheese melter.
Oh, nice. I like that. What is, we go out for nachos. What's your favorite topping?
Oh, the jalapenos.
Jalapenos. Yeah, that's a spicy one. It's nice. And Tyler, this is always a crowd favorite. It's very, you see, if you just eat a lot of nachos at a party, you're not useless. You just consume. But you are a talented musician. People love that. What do you play?
Piano. Thanks for noticing.
Wow. But I have to say, when people know you do that, do you get requests a lot for songs, and maybe you just want to sit and relax, but you got to get up there and be the piano guy?
I do, but I love it.
That's awesome. My nieces just took it. I took piano lessons, but I cannot stick with it. I don't think I'm very musical, but my wife is. So maybe do your children, have they started piano?
Yeah, we play every night. I wish my parents made me keep the lessons. When I was a kid, I stopped as well.
Yeah, something about that time frame when you would learn it. You got to get them started earlier. So that's good. And Jim, you have two small humans living in your house, ages 5 and 2. So that must be pretty nuts, right?
It's always an adventure, Paul.
Nice. And Tyler, well, look at that. Tell us your rock band's name, Tyler.
Ella is 2 and Harrison is 6.
Nice, but
I wrote that, Doctor. I wrote that.
Nacho Mama's rock band. Well, with our fun part out of the way, let's. What I like to do is bring good ideas to dentists. This whole thing, appreciate you guys sponsoring stuff that we do. We sponsor our live stream for the Dentist and Team Boost Festival next month, which is going to be awesome. But I love to bring good ideas to dentists, ideas to protect them, ideas to prepare them, ideas to make them think differently, and none more important than disability insurance. So tell us a little bit about your company and what you guys do.
So I started our practice 12 years ago as a startup. Started with no clients and never thought we'd be working with dentists. Back then we would take a meeting with anybody that would talk to us. And 2008 started working with a few students at Tufts and accidentally fell in love with dentistry and decided to commit to it. And from that point forward, every client we have is a dentist. It's all we do. Disability insurance is really what we're known for out there, but we handle things like malpractice and life insurance. We also get involved in buying and selling dental offices, but disability, although it's a boring topic, it's where we hang our hat and what we talk about daily.
Well, that's important. And we put a great poll up in Dental Nachos that we can tag some people in about when you get disability insurance. And so you didn't know you'd be working with my people, but now you're working with the dentist. We're an interesting people. We're good people, but we ask a lot of questions. We're never totally sure, and we're always worried someone's trying to take advantage of us. So I appreciate you guys coming on to sort of share behind the curtain of what you guys do. Jim, tell us a little bit about your daily day-to-day.
So we work a lot with the students at different schools. I live in Portland, Maine, so I spend a lot of time at UNE Dental School. It's a newer school in the scheme of things. So we're just doing a lot of developing relationships, really. That's what it's all about for us.
Well, you talk about relationships, and I love that. And that's my whole thing, connection, communication. Dental Nachos grew to this, 14,000 member Facebook group. I thought it was going to be a couple hundred people. But even in the olden days, when I was the age of Dr. On, my associate, Faratag On, if you can, because that's how we got connected. There was no Facebook. You just had to go out and put your face out there. And I was running study clubs, and bringing people together and developing relationships is important. And that's how I got to meet you guys through my awesome associate from Maine. So dental schools is where you guys are mainly connecting with your clients.
Yeah, that's where we meet a lot of our new people. We do a lot of free work at the beginning and just get to know people. And hopefully when they're ready to get disability, they give us a call, whether it's right away or 5 years from now. We're always willing to work with them.
there's a lot of different rules in life. They're hard to keep track of. Where can it, dentistry, you think it's kind of nuts. You got to get a state license in New Jersey and in Pennsylvania. You think you're a good enough dentist in New Jersey. They're like, Pennsylvania's like, whoa, 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 you need a new license. I think this is kind of foolish at times, or maybe all the time. But tell us what states and where can you guys work with what you do?
We're all over. We have clients in all 50 states. We've really grown organically, and that's what we believe is the right thing to do. So it's building one relationship at a time. We meet someone and then they come work for you, and then we get to meet you and branch out from there. So we are around the country, all time zones.
And Dennis, we like to know how things work. I don't know if you've been inside a dental office. It's a lot of fun. It's like a circus where, the animals don't try to kill you, just annoy you to death slowly. But Dennis, we do these procedures, like kind of when you were the nacho maker, recipes like, put this material on the tooth, rub it for 20 seconds, use this light. So walk us through step by step. You're a fourth-year dental student. It's now, and you saw this poll and you said, you know what, I should get disability insurance. What's my next step?
So when we first started 11 years ago in dentistry, our next step would be to email somebody 2 or 3 quotes, because that's what we thought they wanted. And through experience and getting better, we realized that people want to understand this stuff. And these insurance companies can be very nasty, and they know how to put the words in their favor, not yours. So where we start our process with new clients is taking the time to teach them about contract language, what to look for, different options. That way, when they have to make a decision, they know what they're making a decision about.
Gotcha. That's great. In general, I think that's how dentists and most people like to operate. And as we're talking here, I just want Farrah, if someone's like, hey, I want to reach out to you guys, not just sponsor Good Guys, how would they reach out to you guys to connect with you?
Either a Facebook message, or they can email me at tyler.destefano@llfg.net.
Okay, tyler.destefano@llg.net. Farrah, put that in. And how about just the website for what you guys do?
llfg.net.
llfg.net. That's great. So we'll drop that into the comments. Jim, we connect with you. I'm a fourth-year dental student. I fill out the application for the disability. I get the medical test. Let's just use an example of, and I know this can go in a lot of different directions, but dental student has no medical problems, healthy as could be, not much to, I don't know if I'm using the right terms. I know you guys might say medial and distal to sound cool at parties. But I would say riders, is it called a rider? But let's say this, and then you give them some options, and then how do they actually get the disability? They start paying for it while they're in school. They pay for it when they're out of school. Tell me a little bit about that.
It's their choice, really. We're very flexible with them, and we really let them drive the bus, if you will. So you're absolutely right. We can do an application together. We get their medical rating, and then it's really not an uncomfortable conversation from there, because their medical record speaks for itself. And what we offer them is the same thing that other people could offer them as well. What we think makes us a little different is the relationship building, and we just have lots of experience in the dental space.
And I'm 41-year-old exhausted dad. That's my calling card. But I was healthier probably when I was 25 years old. So one of the reasons to get disability insurance when you're a student is, that's when you're usually your most healthy. Tell us a little bit about the why behind that. Why if I'm a third-year dental student, would I want to pay, and maybe I'm not using the right. Maybe you guys could help me, $50 a month for disability, $60, $70. Tell us why a third-year dental student would want to do that.
So I think it's the opposite experience that consumers might expect, because as people, usually if we want something and we can afford it, we just buy it. But as it relates to disability, it's the opposite experience. It's a big medical audition to get it. And it doesn't take much to have a rating or become uninsurable. So the sooner they can get it, it's not that it's cheaper, that's a good thing and it's true. But the odds of us getting a clean offer where everything's covered is much more likely. But to do it right, if you're a 25-year-old student graduating, you're healthy, it could be about $80 to $100 a month without cutting corners. We need to make it cheaper than that, we can. But at least they'll know what compromises they're making to get it cheaper.
And, when you go to the dentist, a lot of times you might say, what would you do if it was your tooth, doc? And I'm like that. So tell me, let's say you're a fourth-year dental student. When are you getting your disability? When are you calling someone like yourself? Put yourself in their shoes.
As a fourth-year student, I would start in December or January, their fourth year. It takes a month or 2 to get approved. And then once they're approved, get it in place right away. Even if their parents or somebody else needs to help them out, pay for it for a few months, one day in private practice could pay a whole year of premium to pay them back.
Yeah, I'm totally with you, and I know I like to bring you guys to read Del Nachos. I write these stories. I think they're funny. Hopefully, other people do. I don't know. Sometimes, wife, like you go off on tangents a lot. I'm like, that's what my charm. But tell me a story. Let's get with a good story of someone who needed to use their disability, one of your clients, and why they were grateful to have had it in place.
So one of our clients, a prosthodontist in California, broke his femur skiing 2 years ago.
Yeah.
He was in Canada actually when it happened, and he had just bought a practice 2 or 3 months earlier. And I think we were like the second call that he made to make sure everything was in order. But we felt pretty good telling him that his disability was going to pay him $15,000 a month tax free. We had $40,000 a month coming in to cover the overhead of his office, and his loan payment of $10,000 a month was covered separately.
So, I mean, what could have been disastrous turned out, you guys really are like Batman and Robin there, helping dentists not avert disaster. And that's a real thing. And one of the things, and I kind of remember this from my own times of learning as a resident, most use of disability insurance is not for the rest of their life, right? Like this prosthodontist started working again, I'm assuming. Yeah,
he's back now. Yeah, it took him a while to build his production back up, but he was back to work in about 2 months. And I think 6 months later, his production was back the same. But
so in dental school, we're constantly told what we're doing is wrong, what we're doing is bad. We become dramatic, like Seinfeld's a funny joke on this, great, or it stinks. So, I think people are thinking, oh, well, if I get disabled for the rest of my life and, I can't work, what's it matter anyway? But most of these times you're dealing with, is it called shorter term disability or temporary disability?
Yeah, I think there's a certain imagery that comes to mind. If somebody had said you had a disabled patient come into your office today, there's probably a certain image that would come to mind. But for dentistry, it's not special parking spots or wheelchair bound, like permanent big things. It could just be a temporary thing. It's not always permanent.
Gotcha. Well, I appreciate that. Jim, do you have any stories where you unfortunately were dealing with somebody who didn't do their due diligence and had a more difficult time or challenge with not having disability?
Too many, Paul. Really, it's unfortunate when that happens. And all we can do is be the messenger and the educator and let people make their own minds up what they want to do. But I do have one quick story to share with you about a almost retired doctor. I called on him for a couple of years and I said, "Doctor, can we talk about your disability insurance or about your insurance program?" And he said, "Sure." After I got after him a couple times, so we sat down and he said, "Jim, I want to cancel my disability insurance. Do you think I should?" And I said, "Well, can you afford to retire yet?" He said, "Well, a couple more years." So I said, "My advice to you, doctor, then is keep the disability insurance in place until you have enough to retire." 2 months later, he had a stroke and collected on his disability policy. So I felt good that I helped give him good advice.
Yeah, I mean that's what it's all about. And what I'm with Dental Nachos or just Paul Goodman in general, and I get a lot of help. It's that when you're a dental student, you just don't realize how many people, and I was a big Mr. Rogers fan, are in your neighborhood, right? Reps, disability people, and how many people you need to rely on for advice and help, and things happen that they just don't talk about in dental school, and it's really irresponsible. I mean, now we have students taking out $500,000 and $600,000 in debt, and this should be brought to them early. And we're here with the fourth years in the fourth quarter, and I'm thrilled if you can help some of the great people on the poll. And it's not too late. I know it's not too late to get disability if you're a fourth year now, is it?
No,
not at all.
Or resident, But I just am a big fan of, talking about this throughout the dental school experience. So then it's just normal when it comes to the end, right? You got a first year, hey, this is a thing, disability, life insurance, whatever you're talking about, buying a practice, being an associate. When you're at the end of your time, there's so many things happening as you blast off into the real world. And, Barry Polanski is a great guy in this area here who turned me on to this article that really changed how I thought about things about a year ago called about decision fatigue, right? Which is like how many decisions you have to make. And, you see it with these fourth year dental students, they're making so many decisions. And when you get fatigued, you sometimes say, I'll just worry about disability later. And then, you see, we could talk about this for a minute. How often do you run into somebody in your travels that's a practicing dentist that doesn't have disability?
It happens, but not as often as you might think. A lot of them what we see more often is they have it, but it's less relevant than it used to be. They got it 10 years ago, and 10 years later, they haven't updated it. That's really what we see is it doesn't keep up with their income or their expenses of the practice.
So that's great. Let's shift gears a minute and think about, let's say I was like, star baseball pitcher, but I had some sort of arm surgery and I'm a dentist and now I'm going to get disability. Does this mean I can never get it? Does it mean I pay more? I mean, I know this is like a dentist asking a dentist what's the treatment plan for a case without all the information, but just giving you just some general talking points. Let's say you have seen a chiropractor, had arm surgery, something like that. Tell us a little bit about how that affects
So when somebody goes through the medical process with disability, if they already have some health issues, rather than them declining you or charging you more, a lot of times they'll put on what's called exclusion wording where something isn't covered. And I know that sounds like a bad thing, but it's better than the alternative, which means you're paying 10 times as much or you're declined.
Right. And
a lot of times I can't charge you enough. It's considered terminal risk where somebody already had hand issues. They couldn't charge you enough to make it worth it because you're going to have claims. So it happens, but.
Are these I mean, this is just, when you get interviewed by Paul Goodman, a lot of things happen up here. So sometimes they're not on the page, just from my brain. I mean, are these companies, are they doing well financially? I mean, obviously as the consumer, I think, I'm paying for disability and everyone's paying for disability and they must just be raking like a giant rake of money, like a Scrooge McDuck, right? But are the companies have challenges because they're paying out more claims than they used to, or could you share with me a little bit about that?
It's a hard space to be in. I mean, dentists become disabled a lot more than CPAs and attorneys, I think. So financial ratings matter. We only use companies that have, A+ ratings, 95+ Comdex. But if you think about it, if somebody's paying $500 a month for the disability and the benefit is $10,000 a month, how many people do they need paying to satisfy one claim?
Yeah.
So like if they're paying out $10,000 a month, they need 20 healthy people just to break even on that. So no, these companies aren't ranking it in this particular market. That's why it's so hard to get.
And I'm assuming, life is life, things are dramatic and they're just talking about general things, but like there's probably disability claims where the people don't want to go back to work. Do they ever have to like shoo them back to work? Are you guys involved in those scenarios where I'm just thinking off the top of my head, like, somebody's disabled for a year, they don't want to go back to work, but then do they have to go back to work? How does the disability insurance company?
It's a communication, doctor. It really is. It's a lot of working between the company and the client. Ultimately, I think people feel better when they're working. So it's better for their mental health. But there are times when they'll never go back to work and there are times that they will. And certainly, we advocate for what's best for our clients as well.
Yes, it's like a soap opera you guys are involved in. It's you should do a reality show about you two, Dr. Disability Insurance. A couple more things I want to go over here. Could you give an example of some contractual details doctors should be looking for in their contract?
Yeah, it should be worded where the carrier can never change anything. So no matter where our client works or lives, their disability never should be tied to an association or a job. It should be the only one that can cancel it is the client if they want to. So if they buy it when they're 25 for the next 40 years, the company has no right to change their cost or the words.
Is there an expiration? You told me about that scenario, Jim, where you helped out the doctor who had a stroke. Is there an age where they stop covering you for disability? Like, does it expire?
It's contractual. So let's use a typical scenario, age 65. But you do have the option to continue policies if you want to beyond age 65, and it's usually a two-year cycle.
Okay.
But yes, but you choose. So you can do a 5-year or a 10-year benefit period, or age 65, age 67, and some companies are even running age 70 now.
Gotcha. Okay, thanks for that. I have a good question. I'm a dentist. I always want to know, what do you guys charge for your clients to work with you?
Nothing. So we get paid the same way they do, which is on production and how busy we are. So they'll never get a bill from us. We'll often spend many, many meetings and many hours, but we'll get paid right by the carrier.
Great. And this is just too important for dental students, young dental students, when you're listening, residents. It's just too important to mess around. And I know it's not as exciting as to go to a CE course on how to scan the next scanner on top of the scanner, or, sleep apnea for monkeys, whatever they're going on. I know that's more exciting, but this is something that can affect your livelihood, your family's livelihood. These two guys have been kind enough to sponsor what we're doing. I'm excited for you guys to be part of our Dentist and Team Boost live stream. We'll be sharing, what your company does with people online and live. That's great. Tell us again real quick how we contact you or how we would reach out to you. Jim, how would someone reach out to you if they wanted to work with you?
So our Facebook page is perfect. Really, we've got a Facebook page, Doctors Disability Specialists. So if you find us on Facebook, that's probably to me the best one.
Farrell dropped that into the live there for people listening. I've got a lot of great questions. If anyone on Facebook has we have a few minutes that they want to ask questions, Farrell will feed them over to me if anyone would like to. And you can also drop questions in there. You guys can check in on them later in the day if people are out there root canaling right now. Someone might be root canaling right now. They can't see us. Tyler, how do we reach out to you again?
Same thing, just a Facebook page or a private message on my personal page, or my email is tyler.destefano@llfg.net.
Any final thoughts? You ever watched that ESPN show? What's it called? First Take or something?
First Take, yeah.
Any final thoughts, final words on disability insurance that you'd want to say, hey, you're looking out there at a fourth-year student, a resident, and this is what they should be doing right now?
My final thought would be I know it's boring, but let's get it done. Jim and I would love to audition and work with you. And let's start with a conversation.
Yeah, if I can just add,
budget's not a big deal. This stuff doesn't have to be expensive, which is usually the reason people don't do it, is they think it's gonna be this big number. It doesn't have to be.
if I can just add, we really respect your time. We know how busy these students are and doctors are. So we typically start with a half an hour call, and we do everything, I'll say, virtually. So this is a really good setup for us because we do a similar thing with clients. Without the video though, we just share screens.
Yeah. Hey, this technology is awesome. We can feel like someone, meet people, and just keep things moving. I talk with Rob Montgomery, my podcast partner, and he's been through the world of people would come in for meetings and talk to people, but then you can just efficiently get things done. Everyone's busy, and I think you can kind of do it like we are here at lunchtime. I really appreciate you guys sharing. You guys stick around for a minute. We're gonna go off of Facebook Live. I want to talk to you, but Jim and Tyler, you guys are awesome guys, funny guys. I like musician, nacho maker. I know we'll see a lot more of you. Thanks for helping our group and supporting what we do.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Doctor.
For having us. We appreciate it.